one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just take a second. Thank you very much. Please be seated. We're in compliance with the open meetings law, Mr. Administrator.
We are, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I will entertain approval of the agenda as printed unless somebody sees something needs to be moved around for any reason.
Make a motion.
Mr. Paulson makes a motion, second by Meg Turple Heights. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted. Mr. Winnicky.
I would move approval of the April 15th, 2025 meeting minutes as presented.
Moved by Supervisor Winnicky. Do I have a second?
Second.
Supervisor Jekyll. Anybody else notice any mistakes, changes required? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Communications. Audrey.
The notice of public hearing for planning and zoning is May 15th, 2025 at 7 p.m. And then you should also have the treasurer's monthly report.
Thank you. Any questions on communications by anybody? Seeing none, is there any public comment concerning agenda items? Seeing none. Special order of business. Presentation of Whitewater Solar Project. Matt Zangle.
As they're making their way to the front, I will just give a little bit of context on this. So Whitewater Solar is proposing a large solar facility, partially in Walworth County, partially in Jefferson County, and it's above the threshold for which we would have approval. This is a PSC approved process, and therefore the county's input on this is relatively restricted by state law. However, we have expressed a desire to enter into a joint development agreement, as we've done with other projects in the past. And what we're doing today is kind of beginning those discussions with the board. Staff has had limited meetings with them. When I say limited, I mean it's been limited only to probably Matt's department at this point, but we've had some internal conversations among other departments that might have some interest in seeing what would be in a JDA. And so I just wanted to give a quick timeline of what we're hoping and expecting to move the process along. Obviously, if there is significant need to develop further within the committee work, we would be able to delay a little bit, but we built a bit of a cushion in. So today, we're doing under special order of business, an overview of the project. In the rest of May into June, we would have discussions with the developer about this JDA and things that we would like to see based on maybe prior agreements or other staff input. And then in June, the relevant committees would have discussions on those same items. Throughout July, then, there would be drafts presented to those committees for input and approval. In August, have approval of the JDA, and finally then come back before the board in September for official approval from the board of the Joint Development Agreement so they can stay on the timeline they need with the Public Service Commission. With that, I will take just a second to get the Zoom set up, and we'll have the presentation on the screen.
So while he's doing that, I'll introduce myself. My name is Nick Hawes. I'm with Whitewater Solar. I work for a company called Desri. I'm from Rice Lake, Wisconsin originally. I live in Sturgeon Bay with my 4 boys and wife. And previous to Jefferson County, I've also been involved with the Crawfish River Solar Project and also the Badger State Solar Project. So do I just click this for the next slide?
I might have to do it.
Okay. So yeah, like Michael said, we'll just do kind of a brief presentation of what the project is and the general timeline. So I'll talk about Whitewater Solar. I'll give kind of a solar facility overview, like what will you see? And if some of you have driven by the Crawfish River Solar Project, it'll be very similar. I'll give a general site overview, and we can get a little bit more in the weeds on the site if needed. And then I'll talk briefly about the joint development agreement. But like what Michael said, most of that discussion will happen into the future. And then I'll discuss project schedule, some of the project benefits, and then the environmental considerations. All right, so the structure of Whitewater Solar is that it's under development by Ranger Power and Desri, so I work for Desri. some of the initial work was done by Ranger Power. So like it says, Ranger Power focuses on development and Desiree focuses on construction. So my main purpose is to take the project from kind of the development leases and bring it all the way through contracting, construction, and then into commercial operations, and then I disappear. So like I was saying before for myself, our previous experience in the area is with Crawfish River Solar and Badger State Solar, but my company is also nationwide, 22 states, I think, at this point. All right, so generally what you'll see is for the solar facility, there will be a project substation. For Whitewater, that project substation is going to be located next to the university substation that's already existing. So in the PV array portion of the project, what you'll see is the solar panels that are mounted on horizontal racking. And that racking is installed on, we call them piles, or basically steel I-beams that are driven into the ground. The other components of the project are the inverters. So that's where the direct current from the panels is converted into alternating current. And then there's a little transformer on the same pad that steps up the voltage of the power and sends it back to the substation. A couple of the other little things that are out there that you see are combiner boxes that collect the cables into larger cables, and then meteorology stations. But other than that, it's a kind of a bare bones power plant in terms of what you see visually. Next. So the project is 180 megawatts. It's 180 megawatts AC. That's the total potential generation capability of the project. There's 2,000 acres leased. We're only going to utilize about half of that land in order to generate the power requirements that we're aiming for. And the project is located in Jefferson County, and then in the southern part of the project is also located in Walworth County. Okay, yep. I don't know if you guys allow for questions as we move forward or just run through it, right? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, next slide then. So the joint development agreement, I'll kind of give my 2 cents on it. The joint development agreement is sort of a cooperative agreement between the project and the county, and it covers some of the financial details between the project and the county, and it also covers some of the environmental and county facilities. So for instance, a road use agreement and how we would go about assessing pre-construction conditions versus post-construction conditions, and then determining what our repairs or obligations are for that. Same with drainage, and it also discusses things like setbacks from environmental or sensitive features, houses, roads, waterways, stuff like that. It really kind of, it lays that out in a coordinated fashion between the project and the county. And the timeline is what Michael had discussed. So we'll dive into more details on that in, I think, probably another meeting or discussions, yeah. All right, project schedule. So we have filed what is called a certificate of public necessity and need with the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin. We did that in September of 2024. The next step, so we're moving through this process for the CPCN. The next steps will be a party and public session hearing this July. We do target an approval of that CPCN in November of 2025. Some of the work that you might, so it's not really work, but what you might see happen this year would just be some of the fields converted into winter wheat, because we intend to start construction in the summer of 25, and so we wouldn't want to plant like corn and then, just tear it under, right, unless somebody was doing silage. So we'll try to coordinate with the landowners to plant wheat, harvest that in July, and then we would start construction after that in 2026. Construction is going to be about 18 months, including winter work, and then we would hit commercial operations in the winter or spring of 2028. Project life expectancy is 30 to 40 years. Next. So project benefits. So there's obviously some tax revenue for Jefferson County. There's local business support. So even during the Crawfish project, we bring in a ton of workers. this project will be built by a Wisconsin-based company, but the workers come in and everybody eats, stays at hotels. So that's what we mean by local businesses being supported during construction. There's also the hiring associated with the workers that will primarily be statewide. There's supplemental income to the farmers that are part of the project. And then we will have perennial vegetation with pollinator species as part of this. And this is kind of really cool. Especially when you see the crawfish project, what was a farm field going to corn, minimum wildlife. After the project is done, there's a game fence with bigger sections on the bottom. When you drive around in there right now, there's fox and mink and animals and bees buzzing all over. It's pretty neat. It's kind of back to nature a little bit inside of it. So as we do this, we do have a whole bunch of environmental and cultural considerations that are part of the CPCN process and also part of the JDA process. So we do have to have assessments done for local wildlife, vegetation, all the waters, wetlands. We have to do archaeological resource studies, and we will avoid anything where we find significant findings of any of those. That's our primary strategy, is avoidance and minimization. Part of this too is there's a pretty big habitat restoration component. So we're really trying to support the native diversity of a prairie. It's a low statured prairie, so we pick and choose grasses and flowers that work with the solar panels to try to minimize mowing and try to create an environment where you don't have to use herbicides, limited mowing, and that attracts some of those pollinator species into the project. We'll also do erosion control measures when we're out there. So for whitewater, we know that there's drain tiles out there. We know that there's quite a bit of water in the ground. So one of the things that we'll do, and we're already doing it, is a drain tile survey, a drainage survey. And we will be installing drainage tile prior to the actual grading and construction of the project that it works with the project. It's incorporated into the design, the piles, to ensure that we have adequate drainage during construction and then post-construction during operations. And then there are also long-term vegetation and environmental monitoring and management commitments. A lot of this is spelled out in a vegetation management plan for the project to try to support some of the goals that I was discussing earlier. So that's it, short presentation. I guess, Michael, is there questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At a town board meeting last night, this topic came up, not this particular facility, but in general. And one of the questions was, how susceptible or resistant to hail damage are these panels?
Yeah, good question. So the panels do have, so they're on the racking that I was talking about, the horizontal racking. That is a tracking system that can go from 0 to 75 degrees. And so there's a hail stow mode that's part of that. It's one of the set points in our power plant controller. So if that type of weather system is coming, it'll go into this backward facing hail stow that really limits it. So that's not going to stop, like, baseball size hail coming down, right? But in that scenario, we usually only see a very minor amount of panels that get broken, and they're really easily replaced with the spares that we leave on site. But primarily the normal hail events, the smaller pea-size stuff, that hailstone mode will protect it from that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. What do you do to minimize soil compaction on the land as you're putting the panels in?
Yep. So there's two parts of the project. One is a part of the project that is, we essentially don't grade, right? We go out there, we install the piles, and we plant the grasses, and that's it. The other part of it is cut and fill, where we have to remove some of the topography. There are some engineering requirements for compaction as you're bringing that up, but the surface, 2 feet, will be dropped in and loosened, and then the entire project, as part of the vegetation and soil management plan, has a requirement where we will use a penetrometer to test the compaction to trying to remember the exact pound, but it's a set pounds per square inch, and if we exceed that, then there's decompaction mitigation strategies that we'll go through, which is essentially cross-ripping it, right? If it's really hard, we'll use a ripper, otherwise it's the harrow plows and discs. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Takes us to second item B, special order of business presentation of opioid settlement. Mr. Lucky.
I'll just quickly give an update on this, and I think we might have to restart a system to get the microphones working in between this thing and a report. So, with the information that I will share later during the executive summary, is this one works? The information I'll share in the executive summary will include a lot of this what's going on, but I just wanted to inform the board. The county board had adopted a resolution in 2017 authorizing us to engage with a law firm to pursue litigation related to the opioid epidemic. We had received a notice of claim from one of the people that was named by the law firm that we needed, that under their opinion, we lacked the authority to sue them. So this notice came too late for us to get on a committee agenda. Board rules under ordinance do allow a resolution to be brought to the floor by the county administrator with approval of the board chair. I received that written approval, and so that's ordinance number 2-86B, and so that will be coming at the end of the agenda.
Any questions for Mike on that? Mine is four. Any questions for Mike? Seeing none. We will move on to annual reports, land and water conservation, Patricia Cicero.
Okay, is it working? Yes. Okay, wonderful. Good evening. I'm Patricia Cicero, the Director of the Land and Water Conservation Department. And the overall goal of the Land and Water Conservation Department is to restore, improve, and protect the land and water resources of the county. We do this by following our Land and Water Resource Management Plan. That is a plan that sets out our goals and actions, and that's updated every 10 years. We couldn't achieve our goals without the great staff in our office. We have 6 people in our office, including myself. The administrative specialist is Kim Lykopoulos. We have 3 resource conservationists, Joe Strupp, Dave Hoffman, and Sam Peterson, and a water resource management specialist, Colton Hutchinson. And if you add up all the years everybody has been working for the county, it's 63 years, so that's a lot of service to the citizens of the county. In the report, which you should have received at your last month's meeting, I always like to put a pie chart in there that explains where we get the funding for the work that we do. We definitely use county levy, but 52% of our funds come from grants, program revenue, including municipal revenue, as well as fees. Our largest agricultural program is our Farmland Preservation Program. That's a tax credit program for individuals who enroll and also follow certain standards that protect the soil and water resources. So last year we had 616 participants, and their land covered more than 110,000 acres. And by enrolling in the program and following the standards, those landowners received over $1.1 million in tax relief. So that's really good money coming to those property owners. Our office also implements a number of cost-sharing programs. So we help defray the costs for the implementation of conservation practices, both agricultural practices and residential practices. And those practices help to keep soil in place and protect our water resources. So we get money from Department of Agriculture as well as municipal sources for a number of agricultural conservation practices. The one that I'll highlight tonight is our cover crop program. So I think everybody pretty much knows when you're driving around the county, you'll see corn and soybeans in rotation. Sometimes you see alfalfa out there. But there's some times that when the corn and soybeans aren't growing, that the land will be soil. And the idea of cover crops is that you plant species that are going to cover that soil and prevent it from being eroded during times when when other crops are not being grown. So this practice improves soil health and also keeps soil in place, which ultimately protects water quality. Our cover crop program, we work in partnership with the Jefferson County Soil Builders on. That group is a group of farmers who promote cover crops and do a lot of education through field days and workshops. So last year, we helped in pay for over 2,600 acres of cover crops in the county. Another program that we do is with money from the Department of Natural Resources, which is installing smaller practices such as rain gardens and native shoreline gardens on residential properties. So if anybody's interested in those types of practices, definitely come to our office. We did help install a native shoreline garden last year. One of the big accomplishments in the last few years for our office is the groundwater study that we shepherded through with partnership with UW Stevens Point. And we now have a final report on that study as well as an online dashboard of the results, which if you haven't gone on our website to check that out, definitely do it. It's very interesting. We're using the results of the groundwater study to help educate citizens about the importance of groundwater protection and also sampling your groundwater if you have a private well. So if you could if everybody can put up their hand if they have a private well that they rely on for their drinking water. Okay, a number of people. I don't, but please keep your hand up. And only put your hand down if you have sampled your well in the last 5 years. So a number of people's hands went down. You should definitely be sampling your private well water more than you have. So our office does help educate citizens about that importance of sampling your water. And we tell people that the minimum test that you should do is nitrate, bacteria, as well as arsenic in our county. And we invested in some nitrate screening tools that both the Land and Water Conservation Department has as well as the Health Department. And so people can come and get their water screened for nitrate. And you could do that anytime we're open, and we also go to events. Like, for instance, this year we're going to be at the fair some days, and people can bring in their private well water to be screened for nitrates. So last year we screened 50 well water samples for nitrates, and I can already tell you this year we've already surpassed that number. So that's a good thing, and more people are getting the information on that ability that we have. I also want to mention that this month we found out that Gathering Waters, which is a statewide nonprofit, awarded our office with the Working Lands Preservation Award for the Agricultural Conservation Easement Program. That program keeps land and agriculture and agricultural uses instead of it being split off for rural development. And at your June meeting, Gathering Waters will be here to officially present that award. So I just provided a little bit of highlights about what our office does, but there's definitely a lot more. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, and definitely I'm available for you to come to my office or give me a call. So thank you so much.
Questions for Patricia? Mr. Brown?
On the cover grounds, is
Cover
that part of the
crops.
rotation of the corn and soybean, or is that something that's permanently left ground cover, and then can they bale it?
Yes. So there are lots of different things you can do with cover crops. Sometimes, like around this time, you'll see winter wheat coming up, and after that winter wheat comes off the land, then that's a really good time to put cover crops down. And then the next year they'll be planted into another crop, and then. Typically, I think it's after one of the corn or soybeans, you plant cover crops also in the fall. So we see the amount of cover crops going in is in the summer after winter wheat, and then in the fall as well. And sometimes the cover crops are just terminated. Sometimes cover crops can be used for compaction. Problems like turnips can be used to break up the soil and stop compaction. So there's ways that can be used. Some people, I think, have also used cover crops to create seed that they can then sell for people who need cover crop seed.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Patricia.
Sure, thank you.
This old fashioned's coming, so my. Item B, Register of Deeds, Stacy Hoffman.
Good evening. As he mentioned, I'm Stacy Hoffman, the Jefferson County Register of Deeds. And like every year when I do my annual report, I tell you how awesome the Register of Deeds office is. We make money for the county. We make more than we spend, and last year was no exception. We made a little bit more than we spent, but still better than the previous year. So I don't want to bore you with statistics like that, so I thought I would do another story like I did last year, and I used my friend G, is what my grandkids call Chat GPT for it. So I gave them some prompts to say, hey, tell the county board how important the Register of Deeds is to our county, and I gave them some prompts about a story of a couple people that we helped. So it created this, and it's titled The Quiet Powerhouse, How the Register of Deeds Impacts Lives Every Day. And it also said by Stacy Hoffman and Chat GPT, which I was really surprised that it gave itself a credit on it, but it did. So in the heart of every county, behind a modest office door, in rows of books and glowing computer screens, lives one of the most essential but often disregarded public servants, the Register of Deeds. It's not a flashy title. There's no sirens, no televised press conferences, no viral social media campaigns. But for the countless residents, this office holds the key to their most important moments, from buying a first home to settling a family's estate. We maintain not only the history of every land transaction, but the history of our citizens as well. We are Jefferson County's past and future. This is a story about Maria. When Maria stepped into the Register of Deeds office, she wasn't there to request a document. She was trying to save a legacy. Maria had inherited her grandparents' farmhouse, which was rich in history and filled with cherished memories. Maria loved that home, but she needed help to pay for her son's education, which, by the way, he would be the first child in their family to go to a four-year college. Soon, though, she found out she was in a legal tangle. For some reason, the deed had never been properly transferred, making it nearly impossible for her to move forward. Maria shed many tears at our counter, and we spent well over an hour with her trying to console her. We brought her behind doors so she didn't have to cry in front of everybody. But we understood why she was frustrated. So this is where my awesome staff came in. With a calm demeanor, patience, and determination, we drove into our archives. Within minutes, we were able to locate the original deed, carefully scanned, indexed, and preserved, and identified the missing links in the chain of ownership. Over the next several days, we helped Maria navigate the maze of affidavits, signatures, and recordings needed to correct the title and update the records. According to Maria, we didn't just help her with paperwork, we helped her unlock a future for her family. Maria's experience isn't unique. Just today, we spent some time with a woman who was going through a rough patch, overwhelmed through a divorce that she's going through and life's demands. She came to us for some information on her marriage date, but soon she told us how she was not feeling that she's worthy of life anymore. So one of my staff members talked with her, calmed her down, and she left, feeling much better about herself and about life in general. We did notify law enforcement because we were concerned for her, but those are the type of things we deal with every day. So every day, the Register of Deeds serves as a guardian of the official record, protecting the integrity of land transactions, birth, marriage, and death certificates, and veterans' discharge papers. These documents aren't just records. They're proof of identity, property rights, and personal history. In an era of digital information, the Register of Deeds is leading the way in modernization by digitizing historical records and making online access more user-friendly. We are increasing transparency and streamlining services for attorneys, surveyors, or John, I'm talking to you, surveyors, and title companies and everyday citizens alike. So our role is about trust. People need to know that their most critical documents are being handled with care, accuracy, and confidentiality. In addition to real estate transactions, we often collaborate with genealogists, historians, veterans groups, and public officials. We maintain the legal foundation that supports land ownership, land development, public infrastructure, and family connections, work that touches nearly every aspect of community life. So we're already fulfilling the part of our strategic plan of transformative government, diverse housing, quality of life, and economic growth, all under our department. So despite this role, we rarely make headlines, and we appreciate that. We don't want to be in the newspaper for anything bad. But behind the scenes, please know that the Register of Deeds is a quiet powerhouse, keeping our histories safe, our futures secure, and our communities legally sound. So the next time you buy a home, apply for your real ID or search for your family tree. Remember, there's a dedicated team of girls, I shouldn't say that, dedicated team of employees working diligently to ensure your story is preserved, protected, and properly recorded. We do it every single day, quietly at the end of the North Hallway. And ChatGPT's story. So I'd like to thank Kayla, Chris, and Amber. They do a lot of work for me. They allow me to do a lot of other things within the county and in the state. And I also want to thank the county board for their continued support. So if you guys have any questions for me, happy to answer them today or any other time you'd like to ask them.
Questions for Stacy?
Okay, use your friend chat. Use your friend G. This is what the young kids call it. So it's helpful. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Stacy. Takes us to item 10. Executive Committee resolution authorizing the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Waterloo for EMS working group consultants.
Resolution 2025-12, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Waterloo for EMS. At its meeting on April 15th, 2025, the County Board approved resolution number 2025-2, which authorized the county administrator to contract with City Alliance for consultant and staffing services for the EMS working group at a cost of $41,140. The City of Waterloo received an innovative planning grant from the state of Wisconsin, which will be used to reimburse Jefferson County for staffing and consulting expenses for the EMS working group up to the amount of the grant funding. This resolution authorizes the county administrator to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Waterloo, which provides for the reimbursement of expenses for the EMS working group consultant. Executive Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on April 30th and recommended forwarding it to the County Board for approval. Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Winkie, second by Mr. Paulson. Questions? Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Item 2, resolution supporting the continuation of the Wisconsin Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program.
I'm guessing this is 2025-13? How about that? This resolution expresses the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors' strong support for the continuation of the Wisconsin Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program. It highlights the numerous ways in which the program has benefited Jefferson County through land conservation, trail development, waterway access, and park enhancements, and affirms the program's alignment with the county's long-term mission to promote environmental stewardship, outdoor recreation, and public wellness. This resolution urges the Wisconsin State Legislature and the governor to sustain and strengthen the program through the upcoming state budget and beyond. The Executive Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on April 30th, 2025, and recommended forwarding it to the County Board for approval. Fiscal note, support for the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program has been essential to the development of the park system. Since 1978, Jefferson County has been awarded $1.8 million of Knowles Nelson Stewardship grants towards completion and acquisition of such projects like the Interurban Trail, Rock Lake Park, Korth Park, Carnes Park, and kayak launches at Burnt Village and Cano Park. Mr. Chair, I move approval of this resolution.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Winnicke, who is the second? Second by Mr. Paulson. Questions? Progress.
I'm a fourth generation family farm, so I'm really big on conserving the future. I don't want to see anything happen to our family farm back in Pennsylvania. But the Knowles Nelson situation has had some pretty major hiccups in the last couple of years. They have a whole year where there's no data reporting. Then when they started data reporting again, the land that they owned according to their pie charts or their bar graphs was less. But the only way their land is put into this in perpetuity, so it concerns me a little bit. So I'm going to vote against it just because I feel that there needs to be something come in and say, hey, you're not running this correctly. I'm not against the process of saving the land. I'm against the process of trying to save the land.
Anyone else? See none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And voice has it. Moves us on to Finance Committee. Item 11, resolution accepting the $24,500 in Wisconsin State Opioid Response Funding on behalf of Jefferson County Drug-Free Coalition and amending the 2025 Health Department budget. This requires a two-thirds vote. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution number 2025-14. The Jefferson County Drug-Free Coalition, for which Jefferson County Health Department serves as fiscal agent, was awarded a total of $24,500 of Wisconsin State Opioid Response Grant funding. The purpose of these funds is to support local community coalitions to aid in implementing specific strategies to reduce access to opiates and stimulants and prevent overdoses. Activities include community outreach, community education, conducting public awareness campaigns, school-based prevention programs, and offering drug take-back events. The resolution authorizes acceptance of the Wisconsin State Opiate Response Funding and amends the 2025 Health Department budget accordingly. The Board of Health considered this resolution at its meeting on April 16, 2025, and the Finance Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on May 6, 2025. Both bodies recommended forward the resolution to the County Board for approval. Fiscal note, this resolution authorizes the Finance Director to make the necessary budget adjustments to enact the resolution. As a budget amendment, this resolution requires 20 of the 30 affirmative votes for passage. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Second. Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Jacob. Questions, discussion? Seeing none, please vote on your tablet.
Supervisor Hurst,
Aye.
Supervisor Richardson,
Aye.
we have 29 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
Thank you, the measure passes. Item B, resolution increasing the fees for CPR classes provided by the Jefferson County Health Department amending 2025 budget. Mr. Jones.
Resolution number 2025-15. The Jefferson County Health Department intends to offer cardiopulmonary resuscitation CPR classes to residents, businesses, and organizations in partnership with Ford Healthcare as a public health service in 2025. These classes will include both basic life support and heart saver total options. Increasing the cost of these classes allows the health department to align with current market costs for classes and ensures the program remains operationally sustainable. Basic life support classes will increase from $60 to $85. Heart saver total will increase from $60 to $105. This resolution increases the cost of the CPR classes offered by the health department and amends the 2025 budget to reflect the change. The Finance Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on May 6, 2025, and recommending forward it to the County Board for approval. Fiscal note, this resolution amends the fee schedule approved in the 2025 budget. As a budget amendment, this resolution requires 20 of the 30 affirmative votes for passage. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Moved and second by Mr. Heights. Questions? Discussion? Seeing none, please vote on your tab.
Supervisor Richardson?
Aye.
Supervisor Herbst?
Aye.
You had 27 yes, 2 no, and 1 absent.
Motion passes. Takes us to resolution accepting a grant from the cities for Financial Empowerment Fund Incorporated, authorizing agreements with them and Community Action Coalition of South Central Wisconsin, amending the 2025 budget in the Human Services Department. Mr. Jones.
Resolution number 2025-16. Jefferson County was awarded $150,000 by the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund Incorporated to implement the Jefferson County Financial Empowerment Center, which will provide no-cost professional one-on-one financial counseling as a public service to all residents. This counseling will focus on 5 key areas of banking, savings, credit, debt, and legacy planning. The FEC model is for this to be a government-led service that is run in partnership with a nonprofit. The county has hired a resource counseling specialist in the Economic Support Division of the Human Service Department who will serve as the local government program manager as one of her functions. The county administrator wishes to enter an agreement with Community Action Coalition of South Central Wisconsin, who will be providing the counseling. CAC will hire 2 full-time counselors and a program manager. To support their work, the county administrator is proposing entering an agreement with the CAC to provide $100,000 in year 1 of operations, $50,000 in year 2. This resolution will authorize the county administrator to enter into 2 separate agreements, one with the CFE fund to accept a $150,000 grant, and one with the CAC for the operation of Financial Empowerment Center. Furthermore, this resolution would amend the 2025 budget to reflect the receipt of the $150,000 grant. The Executive Committee and Finance Committee both considered this resolution at their respective meetings on April 30th, 2025 and May 6th, 2025, and both recommended forward to the County Board for approval. I would like to point out the second paragraph on the next page. Whereas the county administrator is pursuing additional funding sources to offset the cost of the resource counseling specialist position in both 2025 and future years, and the Finance Committee has recommended reevaluating the program after 2 years to assess the effectiveness and whether to continue into the future. Fiscal note, revenue and expenditures for the resource counseling specialists have been approved by the county board at its December 10th, 2024 meeting. This resolution authorizes the finance director to increase budget revenue and expenditures in the Human Service Department by $100,000 for the and pass through of grant funding to the Community Action Coalition of South Central Wisconsin in 2025. The remaining $50,000 will be budgeted in 2026. This is a budget amendment. County board approval requires a 2/3 vote of the entire membership of the county board, 20 votes of the 30-member county board. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Jones, do I have a second? Second. Second, Mr. Christensen. Questions? Discussion? Seeing none, please vote on your tab.
Supervisor Richardson?
Aye.
Supervisor Herbst?
Aye.
You have 29 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
The resolution passes. Takes us to item B, resolution amending the environmental
Resolution number 2025-17. The Jefferson County Environmental Public Health Consortium is a partnership between Watertown Department of Public Health and Jefferson County Health Department to ensure public health through education and regulation. This consortium serves as an agent of Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection to conduct inspections and licensing of retail food, lodging, and recreational establishments. Contractual requirements set forth by DEPCAP and internal review prompted in a need for an amendment to the environmental public health fee schedule. At the end of each license year, the consortium is required to reimburse DAPCAP a defined percentage of each license fee issued that year. DAPCAP is increasing the reimbursement percentage 1% each year over the next 3 years. The amended fee schedule increases fees to account for the increase in reimbursement owed to DAPCAP. The amendment fee schedule also removes Department of Safety and Professional Services license categories and fees for tattoo and body piercing facilities, as the consortium decided not to continue the agent's contract for DSPS after an internal time and fiscal analysis. This resolution authorizes the amendment to the environmental health fee schedule in the 2025 Jefferson County budget. The Board of Health considered this resolution at its meeting on April 16, 2025, and the Finance Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on May 6, 2025. Both bodies recommending forward it to the County Board for approval. Fiscal note, this resolution amends the fee schedule approved in the 2025 budget. As a budget amendment, this resolution requires 20 of the 30 affirmative votes for passage. Because the Watertown Department of Public Health retains the fees, there is no fiscal impact on the Jefferson County budget. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Director Hines. Questions, discussion? Seeing none, please vote on your airlets.
Supervisor Richardson?
Aye.
Supervisor Hurst?
Aye.
We have 29 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
Resolution passes. Takes us to item 12, Human Resources Committee. Resolution creating a full-time administrative specialist division in the administrative division at Human Services and amending the 2025 budget. Mr. Rob.
Resolution number 2025-18, creating a full-time administrative specialist 1 position in the Administrative Division of Human Services and amending the 2025 budget. The Human Services Director requested the creation of 1 full-time equivalent administrative specialist 1 position dedicated to CC compliance. While several compliance positions have been added in recent years, the growing demands of comprehensive community services program due to new positions, increased documentation, and evolving program requirements have outpaced the department's ability to monitor and review notes, service plans in a timely and compliant manner. This position will assist with note monitoring, auditing, and quality assurance necessary for billing and program integrity. The estimated cost of $76,562 will be fully funded by Medicaid reimbursement and WMIC settlement revenue, resulting in no tax levy impact. This resolution authorizes the county to establish this position, incorporate it into the county's staffing plan, and amends the 2025 budget accordingly. The Human Resources Committee and the Finance Committee considered this resolution at their meetings on April 15, 2025 and May 6, 2025, respectively. Both entities recommended they be forwarded to the County Board for consideration and approval. Fiscal note, the Administrative Specialist Position 1 is 100% funded through Medicaid assistance and WMIC settlement, resulting in no tax levy required. The estimate annual cost of $76,562 for wages and benefits is prorated for 8 months in the 2025 budget for $50,041. Because this resolution changes the position schedule approved by the County Board as part of the 2025 budget by adding an administrative specialist position, this is a budget amendment. Passage of this resolution authorizes the Finance Director to make necessary budget adjustments to enact this resolution. The County Board approval requires 2/3 vote of the entire membership of the County Board, 20 votes of the 30-member County Board. I move for passage.
Moved by Mr. Broderick. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Supervisor Callen. Questions, discussion?
I just have a correction. I'm not sure what the right answer is. In the fiscal note, it's WMIRC, but other places it's WIMCR. Is correct. So, okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? Please vote on your tablets.
Supervisor Richardson?
Aye.
Supervisor Hurd?
Aye.
We have 29 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
Resolution passes. Takes us on to item 13, Parks Committee. Resolution authorizing grant application, Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Knowles Nelson Stewardship Grant Program, the Federal Recreation Trails Program, and the Land and Water Conservation Fund for the Jefferson County Interurban Trail Project and amending the 2025 budget to the Parks Department. Mr. Christensen.
Your mic might not work, you might have to move on.
Is it working?
No,
You want me to go
this
up someplace
sounds-
else? Any of them working? This one's not working?
You have to move up to the,
Move up. All right.
Let's roll.
Maybe I'll use Matt's. Go ahead. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have resolution number 2025-19. The Jefferson County Parks Department is seeking grant funds to complete a recreation trail in the right-of-way owned by We Energies and known as the Interurban Trail. The proposed trail is 10.96 miles in length and located between the city of Watertown and the city of Oconomowoc. This off-road paved trail will be built on the former interurban rail line and is located primarily in Jefferson County. This resolution authorizes the Jefferson County Parks Department to seek additional funding for this project through the Wisconsin DNR Knowles Nelson Stewardship Grant Program and amend the 2025 budget if the grant is awarded. The Parks Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on April 24, 2025, and recommended forwarding to the county board for approval. Fiscal note. This grant could provide up to $179,806.07 toward the construction of the final phase of the interurban trail. Jefferson County has already received a transportation alternative program grant for this phase of the project for $1.4 million. Total estimated project costs at this time are $1.710725 million. Should the grant be awarded, the finance director is authorized to make the necessary budget adjustment to enact this resolution. As a budget amendment, the passage requires 2/3 affirmative vote from the Board of Supervisors, 20 of 30 affirmative votes. Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Christensen, second by Mr. Coolman. Questions? Discussion? Seeing none, please vote on your tablets.
Supervisor Richardson?
Aye.
Supervisor Hurd?
Aye.
We have 29 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
Item B, resolution authorizing grant application to Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program, the Federal Recreation Trails Program, and the Land and Water Conservation Fund for Court Park Connector Trail phasing and amending the 2025 budget in the Parks Department. Mr. Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have resolution number 2025-20. The Kawarth County Park Connector Trail currently creates a trail connection between the Glacial Drumlin Trail and Cedar Lane in the town of Lake Mills. This 0.8-mile trail connection provides the connection creating what is known to locals as the legendary Lake Loop. The legendary Lake Loop around Rock Lake is a combination of on-road and off-road trail connections. The Kawarth Park Connector Trail is currently composed of a graded and compacted gravel base overlaid with recycled asphalt. Continued erosion of the trail surface could create unsafe sections of the trail, especially for bicyclists navigating the hills. The Jefferson County Parks Department is seeking grants and donations to pave the entire 0.8 miles of trail through the park to create a safe and durable trail connection around Rock Lake. And I have a fiscal note. The total 2024 estimated project cost for paving the .8 mile Korth Park Connector Trail is $142,085. And RTP grant may fund up to $100,000 of the total, with up to $42,085 coming from fundraising revenues and other miscellaneous donations. If the grant is awarded and other contributions toward the completion of the project are received, the finance director is authorized to make the necessary budget adjustments to enact this resolution. As a budget amendment, a 2/3 vote of the Board of Supervisors is required for passage. Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Christensen, second by Supervisor Golson. Questions? Discussion? Seeing none, please vote on your tablets.
Supervisor Richardson?
Aye.
Supervisor Hurst?
Aye.
29 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
Resolution passes. Resolution accepting donation of the land for public access on Marsh Lake in the town of Lake Mills. Mr. Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have resolution number 2025-21. This resolution authorizes the acceptance by Jefferson County of a land donation from Groundswell Conservancy to be used as a public access site on Marsh Lake, located off County Highway A in the town of Lake Mills, Wisconsin. This parcel, referred to as the Tree Loft property, is approximately 42 acre parcel located along the edge of Marsh Lake, which fills a gap in the eastern boundary of the Lake Mills wildlife area. This acquisition and project represent a collaborative effort spanning several years between Jefferson County, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Groundswell Conservancy, and multiple community organizations. The site, identified as a priority in both the 2008 Glacial Heritage Area Plan and subsequent Jefferson County Parks and Outdoor Recreation Plans, will serve as a low-impact public access point to Marsh Lake and is planned to be incorporated into the Lake Mills wildlife area at a future date. This resolution acknowledges the acquisition, remediation, and plan development of the site and authorizes its formal acceptance by Jefferson County for ongoing management and future public use. The Parks Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on April 24, 2025, and recommended forwarding it on to the County Board for approval. Fiscal note. Currently, donations totaling $46,393.48 are included in the Parks budget. The number is listed for final remediation and site development. Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Christensen, second by Mr. Goulet. Questions, discussion? I just want to say, this is right near my house. I've been working on this for 20 years. I sure tell them fast.
Shouldn't have said anything.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all. Item 14, Planning and Zoning Committee report. Mr. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Report to the honorable members of Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Committee, having considered petitions to amend the official zoning map of Jefferson County, filed for public hearing held on April 17, 2025, as required by law pursuant Wisconsin statutes. Notice thereof having been given and being duly advised of the wishes of the town boards and persons in the areas affected, hereby makes the following recommendations. The committee finds that the criteria listed in Wisconsin statute 91.48 and Jefferson County zoning ordinance section 22-56 has been met for the below listed petitions. Committee further finds that the petitions are consistent in Jefferson County Comprehensive Plan and Farmland Preservation Plan. For further support of the committee's recommendations can be found in the staff reports and individual petition files on record in the Planning Development Office. Approval of petitions as listed, dated this 13th day of May 2025, Blaine Paulson, Secretary. And that moves us on to ordinance number 2025-03, amending the official zoning map of Jefferson County. Whereas Jefferson County Board of Supervisors was petitioned to amend the official zoning map with petitions as listed, whereas its meeting on April 17th, 2025, the Planning and Zoning Committee considered request to amend the official zoning map of Jefferson County after conducting a public hearing regarding requested amendments and after receiving recommendation from the affected town, hereby makes the following recommendations to the Board of Supervisors in open session. And they are as listed down here. Mr. Chair, I move for adoption of this ordinance. Oh, and fiscal note, this ordinance has no determinable fiscal impact.
Second. Moved by Mr. Jacobs, second by Mr. Paulson. Questions? Mr. Knopf.
I will abstain for a potential conflict of interest.
That duly noted. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passed. Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution number 2025-22, adopting public participation plan for amending Jefferson County Comprehensive Plan and Agricultural Preservation Land Use Plan. Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Committee was recently notified of mapping discrepancies between the county's comprehensive plan and agricultural preservation and land use plan and the town of Ixonia Comprehensive Plan, future land use map. Specifically, the town of Ixonia updated their comprehensive plan, including revised future land use map that now contains changes that are not reflected in the county's current planning maps. The committee reviewed the changes and recommended initiating the amendment to the county plans to incorporate the town's newly revised maps. In order to amend the county plans, the first step in the process is for the county board to adopt a public participation plan. This resolution adopts the attached public participation plan for amending Jefferson County Comprehensive Plan and Agricultural Preservation Land Use Plan. The Planning and Zoning Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on April 28, 2025, and recommended forwarding it to the county board for approval. Fiscal note, this resolution will have no fiscal impact. Mr. Chair, I move for adoption of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Jacobs, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Paulson. Questions? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. Takes us to item 15, resolution confirming and ratifying the authority of council for Jefferson County to add additional defendants to opioid legislation, including FDL 2804. Mr. Lucky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution number 2025-23. On October 10th, 2017, the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors passed Resolution 2017-39, which authorized the county administrator to execute an engagement agreement with Von Briesen and Roper, SC, Kruger Dickinson, LLC, and Simmons Hanley Conroy, LLC, the law firms, to pursue litigation against manufacturers, distributors, and retailers, among others, of opioid pharmaceuticals. That resolution authorized the county to perform all actions required to advance the claims against those entities responsible for the opioid epidemic. During discovery and investigation, it was determined that meritorious opioid-related claims existed against additional parties. In accordance with the authority given to law firms in the previously executed engagement agreement, the law firms moved to amend the case to add additional defendants to the lawsuit. Recently, additional defendants, including pharmacy benefit managers, have challenged whether the law firms had the appropriate authority to add them to the suit in an effort to avoid liability. One pharmacy benefits manager, OptumRx Inc., recently filed notices of claim against several Wisconsin counties, including Jefferson County, requesting the counties withdraw any claims asserted against OptumRx and its affiliate companies in the opioid litigation due to the alleged lack of authority. This resolution confirms and ratifies the county's delegation of authority to law firms to add additional defendants to the opioid litigation. Due to time constraints, this resolution is being referred to county board by the county administrator with approval of the board chair in accordance with Jefferson County Ordinance number 2-86B. Fiscal note, ongoing support for the pursuit of funding related to the effects of the opioid crisis is essential to mitigate the destruction caused by the irresponsible actions of the defendants.
Any questions for Mike? Well, first we need a second.
Second.
First, was there a motion?
No.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Baxter, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Brother. Now we can have discussion. Any discussion? Questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. Takes us to public comment of a general nature. Any public comment of a general nature? Seeing none, announcements.
I guess I just have one. Thank you for the approval of the Financial Empowerment Center grant. There's going to be an open house on May 21st to learn more about it. And if anyone's interested, please let me know.
Mr. Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to remind everybody that Brew with a View, the first one this year, is on May 29th at 5 o'clock at Court Park.
The other announcements. I have one. I will be absent at the next county board meeting. I will be on vacation. Mr. Winky will be presiding. Be nice to him, please. And, in the right place, I might be able to zoom in and be able to vote, but, I don't want to preside over meetings from Zoom. So, with that, I also wanted to mention that because I'm on the planning and zoning committee, we have site inspections where I'm going over vacation. There'll be an extra seat available in the van. So if there's any supervisor here that would like to ride in the van, and, Mr. Paulson will treat you to cookies. Anybody like to run and just see what we do on site inspections and how we look at these zoning, let Chairman Jake know, and we'll make accommodations for you. With that, I have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Jacob, second by somebody in the back row. We'll say Ms. Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.